In every new year, we like to have resolutions. And resolutions are good to have because they give us hope to become a better version of ourselves this year. Things like maybe going to the gym a lot more often, eating the right amount of food, eating more plant-based food, reading more books, having a side hustle, starting that new business you always dreamt of. By the time February and March comes, life takes over and some of those goals get eaten up or get faded away. And by the time November and December of the year comes, you look back and at times if you have not penned them down on a piece of paper, you forget them, or then you question yourself, what have I done this year? So some things you do accomplish, some things you don't accomplish. If you have accomplished all of them, that means you don't have any challenging goals in front of you. Where I'm coming at is that you want to have some goals that are challenging, because if you accomplish all of them, that means you're not pushing yourself too much. But this is not a motivational discussion and a podcast, which is a separate podcast that we can have some other day. But there's a brand which is a point of discussion today that I want to bring in this limelight. And this is Patagonia. Patagonia is a brand that, like a lot of many people, I admire so much deeply. It is a marketing lesson that I feel not only just marketers should listen, but people in general as well, because it has so much resemblance to how things should be in our real life, whether that means achieving certain resolutions or bringing those resolutions into our own brand that we either have as a brand running already, or we want to start some new brand as well. Because value as a word, when we talk about it, is spoken so much commonly that it has lost its meaning. As casually as when we write small g in God, it's usually written in a very casual way, where it needs to be a capital G. It has become conversational. Value has lost its essence, but Patagonia has not lost its essence till date. And that is the reason that we are having this discussion today. But before we get into these depths and intricacies of this brand, Patagonia, I want to take you back to 1957. In 1957, actually, Yvon Chouinard, who is the founder of Patagonia, started a company called Chouinard Equipment. Now, Chouinard Equipment's whole idea was to produce equipments for rock climbers. Within that, Piton is one of these key core products that Chouinard was serving these climbers. So until this around time, Patagonia as a clothing line was not even in the picture. Chouinard realized that Piton as a product, when it gets used by rock climbers, it leaves scars on the mountains. And that, I would say, is not just a value-driven insight. It is a lot humanly insight. Something that we as human beings, in the core of us, desire. But here is what Chouinard actually lived out. 70% of his income would come from Pitons, and he stopped pushing this product altogether before actually starting Patagonia as a clothing line in 1973. Now, this so happened is that clothing line would bring better margins, whereas Pitons and these rock climbing products have very small margins when you sell them to the end consumer. Now, one clever thing already you can see here is that Patagonia was started as a new brand altogether, not under Chouinard Equipment's clothing. In 1989, Chouinard Equipment went into issues. It went bankrupt, and Patagonia by this time was doing well, where it grew from $20 million company to about $100 million company. But Chouinard Equipment still exists today with the name of Black Diamond Equipment. Today, Patagonia makes over $1 billion in annual revenue and is sold globally. And why this brand is a point of discussion, besides for being value-driven, look at its product design. It's all based on circular models. Now, circular models are all about how you can really revolve a product as much as possible before it actually says that I can't be used anymore. So you buy a furniture, can you recycle that furniture so that it can be used again? Can it be repaired again? And this is where this initiative of Patagonia stands out. It's called the ironclad guarantee. So when you buy a Patagonia product and you say you're not satisfied with it, you can always return it back. You can get the refund or you can actually replace it. This instantly builds this confidence in the consumer that my money that I'm giving, and it's not a cheap product, obviously, in the market. And it's not supposed to be as well because there's so much effort behind it. So when you buy a Patagonia product, you feel that worth, you feel that tame, you feel that community-driven linkedness that you hardly return. Its return rate is quite less as compared to other marketplaces. Normally, it's about 20 to 30%. They don't reveal their return rates, but it's a lot less than that. And this also speaks volumes for it because people feel connected to that. They don't want to unnecessarily return the product. Then they have an initiative called Wonware. Wonware is all about when you don't need a product, you can return it back to Patagonia. You can go onto Wonware's website, or you can actually go to a Patagonia store and return it back to them there. All these products are collected together and they are sold via Wonware's website. How amazing is that? How great it is for the environment. Based on research findings, just increasing the active life of a clothing by just 9 months, you can reduce environmental impact by 20 to 30% depending on the category. Now imagine the impact of this initiative on the brand Patagonia. It infuses life like no other brand really existed. Think about other brands that come to your mind. You have other similar brands like North Face. If you go a little further, then you can think of Zara, you can think of Nike, Adidas, Puma, other bigger brands. How many brands actually stand that clearly for environment? Leave environment also aside, for their values that Patagonia stands for. Now the title of this podcast I named is The Dangerous Campaign, simply because the things that I'll share with you now, you will see how dangerously Patagonia lives and how it has been resilient all these years. In 2011, Patagonia came out with a full-page ad in New York Times. It was Black Friday. The title of the campaign was Don't Buy This Jacket. The ad had R2 Fleece, their best-selling jacket at the time. And all the ad was trying to tell consumers was that they should not buy a Patagonia product. Now around Black Friday, where people are in this festival mode of buying literally blindly, here you have a brand which is telling consumers not to buy them. The CFO and the CEO of a company would tell the marketer here, if they're advertising this in their initiatives, is to tell them to just leave the company right away. But Patagonia was doing this in New York Times, and during this time, the whole idea was to make consumers be intentional of their purchases. They were kind of triggering their conscience, is to making them understand that whatever you're doing impacts the environment. So by doing that, what do? You not only talk about your value, you don't talk about your credibility, but you talk about in such a manner that no other brand can really sort of mirror you. First, your product has to be such good quality that you have this much confidence. It speaks volumes when you are talking like this in front of such a huge audience. And second, you sort of tell consumers that you stand for something. You stand for the planet, you stand for the environment. And in today's times, especially if you speak to youngsters, you will get to know that how much they feel for the environment. And we millennials, or even any generation for that matter, people in general are worried about the environment. Here's a brand that stands for it and is transparent about it because they actually publish reports every year. This radical transparency, along with this environmental fact, made this campaign really successful. They mentioned that to produce this fleece, it costed them 135 liters of water and 20 pounds of carbon dioxide. So when, as a consumer, you are reading this factual, you instantly connect with it. And for competitors, not many would really have the courage to replicate exactly the same, because a lot of them would not be even measuring such impact. And the ones who would be measuring it might not want to share that, because to be that committed to your values is not an easy task to do. And in a capitalistic society, who is actually doing that? That year, their revenue grew by 30%. Here is another initiative that I want to share with you. In 2020, Patagonia came out with this campaign called Vote the Assholes Out. In this campaign, they had tags this political message right into their regenerative organic stand-up shots. When I was about to share this profanity-infused language, I wasn't very sure, but I wanted to be at least transparent, since this is all about transparency and being value-driven. So I wanted to share this directly with you. Pardon me for using this, but this was a very successful campaign as well. This instantly connected with a certain segment of the audience. Now clearly, this wouldn't connect with all of them, and Patagonia is very clear about that through this initiative. Now in retail, you have a conventional principle that don't alienate yourself with 50% of your customer base. But Patagonia, being Patagonia, has been very upfront about it. They essentially told their customers that we aren't for everyone, we are for people who care about the planet. Now, these are dangerous campaigns according to me. I could not find any other dangerous campaign so far, at least in my knowledge, because if you do find, do share it in the comments. But Patagonia's strategy has been built around this. This pedigree of being selective alienation is a strategy that not many brands have been able to stand. It all doesn't just stop here. In 2022, Patagonia took another initiative that literally perturbed everyone following them. Even the ones that didn't know them would have found them to be dangerous. Hear me out. They decided to give the ownership of the company to a non-profit. Why? So that all the full profit of the company can be used to combat climate challenges. They could have easily passed it on to some government or a private organization, but they did not. No one can now come to Patagonia and say them that you're doing this for marketing initiatives. You're doing this to sound good, to look glossy, to look glamorous. Because everyone wants to talk about buzzwords, supporting environment, but here you have an organization that has dedicated its full profits to work for the better of the climate and environment. No other brand can actually do that. Now, what is in here as a marketing lesson? I would say 2 takeaways. Number 1 is radical transparency. Patagonia has shown and proven that honesty is the best policy to earn the respect of consumers. As an instance, reporting that their carbon footprint rose by 2% in 2025, they are in a way telling their consumers that they are not perfect. And we don't live in a perfect world at the end of the day. Consumers, we are not perfect people, but we are trying to be a better person every year with those resolutions. Here is a brand saying that honestly to its consumers. Now, consumers want to buy products, they want to buy quality products, they want to spend money, but they want to spend money and energy for the right reason to the right brand, so that it's used for the right purpose. So, honesty is the best policy, and here this radical transparency is something what brands of today should master. They should see how Patagonia has been imbuing these values into its core identity. Second one is lifetime value. Now, with lifetime value, normally brands would calculate how much money a customer would bring in their lifetime business with them. They would really commercialize it into a dollar value, and all the marketing efforts would normally go towards it. And if the marketing efforts are more than the lifetime value, usually that initiative by the organization is seen as less important. But this is not how Patagonia thinks. For Patagonia, lifetime value has a different meaning. So when a customer buys a Patagonia product, Patagonia's lifetime value starts with lifetime partnership. This is how lifetime value should effectively be seen. Because it is not about how many times a customer comes back to you to buy a product. It is effectively about how much time your product is used by the customer. Are they happy using your product? So with initiatives like Yvon Chouinard or Ironclad Guarantee, they ensure that lifetime value is lifetime partnership. So Yvon Chouinard is not just another initiative. It is seen as a flywheel. It becomes the flywheel. It becomes the core because the customer understands the value of the product so much. You're making the customer become intentional about their purchases. They think that you as a brand care about them. And here in Patagonia's case, they're thinking a lot larger than them. They're thinking about the environment. They're thinking about the planet. These initiatives instantly connect with consumers. So lifetime value is not really a lifetime value until it is lifetime partnership. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast because I definitely enjoyed a lot talking about Patagonia with you. The idea of the marketing guy is to share these new, fresh perspectives with you, to spark some enthusiasm, to make you dare to take new initiatives that benefit your consumers, that benefit you, and you enjoy what you do with your marketing initiatives. My name is Rachit Kapoor. You have been listening to The Marketing Guy. Before I see you in the next episode, I want you to take very good care of yourself. I'll see you soon in the next one.